It's April 7th, and the strange side of history awaits. Today, we have survivors lost to a freezing sea, an escape that revealed unimaginable horrors, and a flight that turned into a brutal fight for control. Let's begin. On April 7, 1989, a Soviet submarine, the K-278 Komsomolets, was deep beneath the Norwegian Sea when something went wrong. An electrical fire ignited in one of the rear compartments. A high-pressure leak fed the flames, turning the inside of the submarine into a roaring furnace. Men ran through the smoke-filled corridors as heat warped the metal around them. The crew fought desperately, but the fire could not be controlled. And somehow, against all odds, the submarine surfaced. For a brief moment, it seemed like they had survived. Crew members abandoned the vessel and entered the open ocean, only to face something far worse. The water was near freezing, and one by one, the survivors began to lose feeling in their limbs. They clung to rafts, to each other, and then started to slowly slip away. One tried to use an emergency capsule, but when it reached the surface, it flooded, and only one man made it out alive. The rescue ships were coming, but many were too late. Many of the crew died, not in the fire, but in the total silence of the freezing sea. Today, the submarine's remains rest nearly 1,700 meters below surface, its nuclear reactor and weapons still all on board, slowly leaking into the dark. On April 7, 1944, two prisoners inside Auschwitz-Birkenau made a decision that would change history. Their names were Rudolf Vrba and Alfred Wetzler. For nearly 2 years, they had watched trains arrive, thousands of people at a time, and then vanish. Most never made it past their first day. Vrba worked along the belongings of the dead, suitcases, shoes, photographs. He began to understand the truth. This was not a prison, it was a machine. And no one on the outside seemed to fully believe it. So they planned something almost impossible. That night, they crawled into a hollowed-out woodpile just beyond the inner fence. Around them, they scattered tobacco soaked in gasoline in a desperate attempt to confuse the guard dogs. There they waited for 3 days, not moving. Guards searched above them, boots passed inches from their body, and at any moment, a single sound could have ended everything, but it didn't. On the third night, they emerged and began walking over 130 kilometers through occupied land. They had no food, no certainty, only the need to be believed. When they finally reached Slovakia, they told them everything. The gas chambers, the crematorium, the deception. Their testimony became known as the Auschwitz Report, one of the first detailed accounts of what was really happening inside. The world was forced to listen, broadcasts, headlines, and pressure from leaders. By the summer of 1944, tens of thousands of lives were spared, all because two men escaped a place built to erase people. On April 7, 1994, FedEx Flight 705 lifted off from Memphis like any other cargo flight. Inside the cockpit, everything was routine. And then 20 minutes into the flight, something changed. A man named Auburn Calloway quietly entered the cockpit. In his hands were hammers. What followed wasn't a hijacking in the usual sense. There were no demands, no negotiations, only violence. He struck the crew without any warning, crushing blows to their head. Captain David Sanders' skull was fractured. First Officer James Tucker was critically wounded, and Flight Engineer Andrew Peterson was nearly killed. But the attack didn't end the flight. Bleeding, disoriented, and barely conscious, the crew fought back. Inside the aircraft, chaos unfolded. The plane lurched violently as Tucker forced it into an extreme maneuver. Sharp dives, near rolls, turning the sky itself into a weapon. And at 20,000 feet, the aircraft twisted in ways it was never meant to, just to throw the attacker off balance. After minutes that felt like hours, the crew subdued Calloway. And then, still bleeding, still fading, they did something almost impossible. They landed the plane. At 20,000 feet, there was nowhere to run, only a fight that seemed impossible to win. Another day, another strange bite from history. Like, comment, and subscribe. Your next eerie dose is just a day away.